Respect is earned, not forced. If you act like an asshole, your kids will see you for an asshole. They just may not know a name for it yet. My name is Coach Bruce, and I'm a life coach for ADHD parents. What is an ADHD parent? So, when I think of a parent, I think of somebody who created or take ownership for another being's existence in this world. At least that's a good start, but there is so much more to being a parent. I thought for the longest time that being a parent meant making money and making the decisions that made sure that my kids didn't die. The end. What does parent mean to you? For me, it was make money, create safety, by whatever means necessary. Where did I get this idea? From my parents. Not the most authoritarian parents on the block, but were quick to whoop my ass if I ever did anything to upset the status quo. And I don't mean figuratively whoop my ass. I mean beat me with a belt. That was how we solved problems in my house. Even today, my father and I don't speak because I don't prioritize being an ATM over everything else. That's what he did, and because I don't comply, we can't speak. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. At some point, we get this idea that our parents, they have to love us unconditionally. I can tell you from personal experience that should and have are not the same thing. I have fallen out with both of my parents because of my failure to meet their conditions. Their love is literally conditional. Unconditional love is a choice that many parents claim to make, but find out later in life that they do in fact have conditions, and either they cut off their children for not meeting them, or their children rebel against those conditions and find that the choice is to move on without their parents or submit later to these conditions. As a soon-to-be 40-year-old man, you will not be surprised to hear that I refuse to submit to conditional love and found myself parentless. That is outside of my mother-in-law, who has chosen to love me unconditionally, and I can tell you, the difference is glaring. Thanks, Paula. Love you. I don't waste time and energy on blaming my parents, at least not anymore. But it's essential that I learn from their mistakes and leverage those lessons to be a better leader of the next generation of parents. That is what I'm called to do. That's why I talk to ADHD parents every single day, because of what I went through and what I want to be for my children and what I want to help others be for theirs. So here are the big takeaways I've gotten, and there's 9 of them. I'm now calling them the 9 principles of ADHD parenting by Coach Bruce. Money does not equal love. It does not equal respect. Money does not equal compliance. Money is the currency for trading in the outside world. The currency inside my home is action. And for a long time, I was pretty poor. I've learned now that talking does little. You need to do the things that prove that you are willing to show up for your children over and over again, despite of them not behaving exactly the way that you want them to, or not obeying or complying to the things that you are trying to do. It is so often that we as parents forget that these little human beings need to see it and understand it to be able to replicate it. When we're telling our kids to do things that we don't do, it's not surprising that they don't follow. 2, respect is earned, not forced. If you act like an asshole, your kids will see you for an asshole. Once again, they just may not know the name for it yet. If they're in our house, they definitely know the name for it. There is no one right way to do any one thing. This is something that my dad and I went back and forth on all the time. Even though I didn't even live with him, he would try to assert the way that he did things on me in the little time that we had together. And whenever it didn't make sense for me, he would be extremely frustrated and he was ready to kick me out at that point, and we didn't even live together. I think it's better to educate on options and appreciate results. So if there is something that you were trying to get them to do, if they find their own way to get there, appreciate that they got there. Don't focus on results. So it's not about raising another generation of praise-seeking adults. We want people who are willing to work for things that are important to them and understand and enjoy the process of just getting better. That's what I want, at least. What you want is up to you. Ruling with the trifecta of guilt, fear, and shame definitely gets results. The result is adults who feel guilty for existing, afraid to take action, and ashamed of who they are. Case in point, I was raised, once again, getting my ass whooped regularly, being guilted or shamed for coming home with B's and C's whenever I was meant to be a straight A student. Didn't happen often, but it didn't feel great when it did. And because of that, I was afraid to ever lean into who I actually was until much later in life. I started to, on my own, learn that what was wrong with me was nothing. It was okay to be who I was, but I wasn't accepting of that because of the way I was raised. And there was a lot of undoing to be done there. Use the Force is for Star Wars, not for parenting. Once again, create common goals and work together to achieve them. If you have a family, if you have children, you are lucky to have people who are likely to get on your side and help you achieve things in your home. It's not their job to, though. They didn't ask to be here. It's your job to get them on your side and to get them to be able to work with you to achieve those things, not work for you. 6. Forgot to tell you numbers. This is number 6. Kids are parents too. What? You right now are shaping the parent that will raise your grandchildren with every interaction that you have. Have you ever considered that? Have you ever thought whenever you spanked your children or screamed at them that you were also teaching them that's how to treat your grandchild? Have you ever looked at why you do that? The fact that your parents did that to you, and so now you're passing it on to them. At some point, somebody has to make a choice to do parenting intentionally. To actually, well, we'll come back to this. It is never too late to make it right with your children until it is. I hate to say it, but kids die. Bad things happen, teenagers run away, and adult children stop picking up the phone. That's me. Don't wait for the worst to happen to take action when changing your relationship. Lastly, do your fucking homework. We will study to become anything else. We'll train like crazy people to run ultra marathons. We'll take courses on candle making and business building while never doing a single thing to address the single most important job you can have for the most innocent group of people on the planet, our kids. They didn't choose us, so we need to choose to be our very best for them. And if you don't agree with that, unfollow me. Just stop right now, because that is, to me, morally non-negotiable. We have to be better for them. Also, on top of that, this is number 9. Number 9 is a bonus. If you look in the mirror and you see an ADHD parent, remember that our children are like little DNA mirrors, and you probably need to do some homework for that as well. If you're an ADHD parent, your kids likely have ADHD or are going to be mirroring some of your ADHD behaviors, so it's going to be pretty close to the same thing anyways. In conclusion, as my son constantly says to me, just be better. I say it jokingly, but it is a choice. Make a commitment to improving. Acknowledge the things that you have done wrong so far, but don't freeze. You cannot freeze. Being paralyzed as a parent is doing nothing but damage to your children. Commit to imperfect action. Be bold. This is way too important for you to not take action upon. Your children's lives literally depend on it.